Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Big E Show. I'm your host, Eric Mika. Today, we're joined by co-host Gabrielle Mika,
Hello.
my wife, not my sister. And most importantly, no offense to Gabby, we're here for an exclusive interview podcast with our friend Courtney. Courtney Wayment, she's from Layton, Utah. I'm just going to give you a quick interview or intro before you can even talk. Layton, Utah, Gatorade Player of the Year, which I was like, is it Player of the Year? It should be like Gatorade Athlete of the Year.
I agree,
But that's what's on the Wikipedia page.
that is true. It is. That is what the thing said.
We need to fix it. That's what the thing says that's still hung up at the high school. That's okay. 3-time state champ.
No, I think just one.
3-time state champ. 4-time All-American. No, 4-time national champion. 8-time All-American.
Wow.
Which doesn't make sense to me. It must have been two different disciplines, right?
Yeah. So like indoor, I would run the 3K and the 5K. I
Right.
won the 5K, but then I got All-American in the 3K. So that's 2 All-Americans, only one title.
8-time All-American. That's pretty cool. Sounds like you went to school for 8 years, but you didn't. Only 6.
Really close.
Yeah, right. And of course, most recently, and I would imagine the one that you're most excited about, most proud of is a U.S. Olympian. Came in 12th in the steeple run in Paris just 4 months ago, which is just crazy. Finished first among All-Americans in both the trials and in the heat that you were in, and there were 3. You came in first, and then you came in 12th among All-Americans. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're
excited to chit chat.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Exclusive
Thanks.
interview. I cannot emphasize that enough. And you can talk with your hands. I don't want you to feel like
No, you're fine.
she's like sitting on her hands because I warned her not to touch the mic, but you're good. Well, thank you for being here. One thing that we like to do is we start with a rapid fire. A lot of people like to end. We want to start just because it kind of like gets the ball rolling. Everyone feels happy. It's a good little icebreaker. So the first one is, we talked about maybe not the best water in the world. What about meals? Like, are there meals that stick out that you've had? You've traveled around a lot. That's like part of the beauty of you've been in Europe a bunch. You've done all these, the Diamond League, and you've been all over the world racing. Is there a meal that sticks out that you've loved outside the U.S.? And is there a meal that after a race you're like, I want that?
Yeah, those are good questions. I would say the best meal in Europe was this little restaurant, kind of a hole in a wall in Italy, where you're just walking down the street. I was in Florence and walked down the street. No, it was, the restaurants where they'll have people outside so that they can
Try and, like, drag you in.
Yes, so I kind of went past those ones and found one that was just really quiet.
Yeah.
And I went with a friend, and it was the best Caesar salad. Like
the Caesar salad.
Yeah, and best
Of all, I was waiting for like
the
pasta.
pasta
just
was
engorging yourself.
incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible. That I took a picture of it, and that was for sure the best.
Yeah.
You're going to have to tell us the spot after.
I know. I have
the
to
secret
find
spot.
it.
Yeah.
I know where it is. I have it on my location.
You saved
yeah.
it?
Pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google
yeah.
map or
That'll-
something.
Yeah.
That'll change your life. Yeah,
Yeah.
we always talk. I mean, because we were over there a lot, and so we got to travel around quite a bit during like breaks that the team had. And our number one goal was to avoid like the
tourist
we call
traps.
we call them tourist traps.
Yes, they
Like where
are.
there's some guy who's like, "Hey, pretty lady,
Yeah.
come
That
try."
is a real thing.
It's
They
like, no.
always say that. Yep.
Yeah, they're like, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna come to your restaurant where you're like
Yes.
begging me to come. So okay, that's a good one.
So that's that one. And then post race, I always eat pizza.
Mm.
That's pretty easy to digest. Sometimes after races, you're not wanting food.
Mm.
Your stomach's kind of upset, or you're obviously just fatigued. But any kind of pizza, sometimes if it's the worst, doesn't matter because you're not really hungry
Yeah.
anyway. But
Right.
pizza's always Italian actually, but
Yeah.
pizza's always kind of is the move.
one,
Yeah, for
Is
sure.
it like true? Do you like carb load? You know how they're always like carb load before, like the night before? Like, is that actually
Like Michael Scott
a
on The
thing?
Office.
Like, is that actually what you should do?
Did you go to Olive Garden and carb load?
We used to do that
Really?
in college. That's why when we were talking about Olive Garden earlier, I was
probably
like,
have a
I'm
bad-
like
yeah.
scarred.
Like,
We've had it
stop.
so many times. I think there's something to that,
Mhm.
but for my disciplines of only running like a 3K or a 5K,
Yeah.
you don't really need
Mm-mm.
to go into what maybe a marathoner would need for
Okay.
carbo loading. I mean, there is something to it, but I don't think about it. Of,
Okay.
oh my gosh, I have to make sure I eat X amount of carbs. or,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you have like obviously your training schedule is pretty strict? Do you have like
Mhm.
a strict like dietary schedule? Not necessarily schedule, but
Yeah.
like program as well.
Yeah, I mean, in order to be at a certain level, you have to do all of the things, right? That includes nutrition and diet and making sure that you're being very conscious of what you're putting in your body.
Mm-hmm.
I think more so instead of following a specific diet, I try my best to make sure that the foods that I'm eating have a good purpose and a good fueling for my body to help me recover, to help me get ready for the next
Mhm.
one, fuel from the next one, you know,
Yeah.
things like that. So
makes
I wouldn't
sense.
say there's anything specific. You know, sometimes if I'm stressed and I need more, or I'm having higher cortisol levels or something, right? You're
Mhm.
going to eat more salt because that helps you with cortisol or things like that. So there's nothing super specific, but
Okay.
it is pretty, especially during
The
big championship
race
seasons, it's
season.
very honed in, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So-
funny you said that you got kind of like sick of Olive Garden because when I was, it's like, I don't know how it is now. I mean, when I'm with the basketball team at BYU, we had like really solid meals like pregame and post practice. Like we'd have, you know, good food that was catered. But on the road, we always had Chipotle, like after games,
Mhm.
like no exaggeration, every single game. I couldn't eat Chipotle for like 5 or 6 years. Like
Yeah.
I hated it because I mean, it's good and I love it now. Like I'll
Yeah.
go there all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
But it was like just eating it that many times. It's like, is there anything else on this earth that we could organize? Like seriously. And then it made me
Yeah.
think. I was thinking about this. It made me realize that in Italy, this tells you what it's like playing in you know Europe. It's just a little bit different from like the NBA because the NBA is like they have like the Kings. We had like 2 or 3 chefs. Like the best meals you've ever
Yeah.
eaten. I would just like steal as much as possible.
No,
and
like,
just like bring it home
He would
after
bring
practice.
it home for me. Like he would like
Yeah.
leave with like all these boxes,
And they all knew
people
what I
were
was
like,
doing.
What? And
You're
I was
like,
feasting
Probably why I
on
didn't last
kids.
long. They're like, that guy just takes all the food.
He's just stealing our food.
Well, it's like Legends 2.0
Yeah.
from BYU. I
Seriously.
don't know if you guys ate
Oh,
it
yeah.
there,
Legends,
but
yeah,
100%.
that's what.
Legends.
Yep, that's what you do.
No NIL. I had that card, which got me into Legends and
Yeah.
got me like 1 free meal up in the Wilkinson Center. So like it
Mhm.
was like Chick-fil-A and Legends every day. And Legends, you're just piling on as much as possible.
Yeah.
But then in Italy, it made me think of post game. It's like the only places that were open and all that they were willing to do, they'd get us pizza. Like
Mhm.
every post game
Yeah.
on the road, we'd eat a pizza. And I'm just like, how are we a professional organization like shoving pizza down
It
our
was
throats
kind of
after
funny
every
because
single
like in
game?
all the places that you played, I felt like post game they'd have like the stereotypical meal.
Oh,
Like
100%.
in Germany, they would give them like potatoes and beer after their game when they like won.
I mean, like
Oh.
a little bit more than potatoes and beer, but
I mean,
like,
but like
but yeah,
typical
Yeah,
thing that you would
very,
think.
yes.
Like the
and you had to
Spätzle
eat it in
and,
the
like-
later hosen. Like it was so weird.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, no, it is true because it's just like that's the densely populated restaurants are like the local food. So
Mhm.
like in Serbia, it was like cevapi, like these little like Serbian
Meat.
sausages and like and naan bread or whatever. What is it? Is it naan or naan?
I'm not even.
I had it. I'm like super
Naan or
self-conscious
naan?
about it
What
because
do
I
you
had.
say?
I think it's non.
Okay,
I think it's
Yeah.
not.
is that what I
Yeah.
said?
I always say
You did
nan,
that
I did say that
originally,
first,
yeah.
but I
okay.
always say it wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're like self-conscious about it because I had a teammate make fun of me for it, and now I
Oh.
can't remember. Okay, it's not. Yeah. Anyways, not
Okay,
the
That's
best.
what I say. I won't make fun of you.
No, no, you're right. You're probably more cultured than we are. Okay. Next question. Are you? These are Chat GPT. I mean, I
I love it.
no, but I messed around with them. I don't. It's not
Okay.
like I was like, give me some rapid fire. Like I gave some context. It knows my show.
You know what? Chat GPT is a little bit underrated.
No,
So
it
I
cannot
respect
be.
it.
Yeah, overstated how helpful Chat
Yeah.
GPT is. And if I had it in college, I would have
Game
done
over.
a single assignment,
I respect it.
a single one.
The fact that we made it through college without it
I
is
know.
like
Yeah,
we should get some sort of
we're
award.
we're like supremely more intelligent than everyone in
The generation
college.
now.
Well, I just found
You need
other
to sign
ways
up for a tutor
to
in
get
the
around.
SAT.
Yeah, right. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I had my tutors were godsend because I had some
Did you
ugly
guys have
ugly
tutors?
classes.
If I needed them, yeah,
Okay.
we could get them, which I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Statistics whooped my trash.
Mm.
that's a tough
So-
one. What did you graduate in?
Exercise and wellness.
Why did you have to take statistics? I know. I'll
It's
never
like a
under-
general.
It's a general.
Oh.
G.
I didn't take it. I didn't take a single
Yeah,
math
you
class.
did.
No, I didn't. I didn't take stats. Well,
But
I
did
did
you do
AP
it in
stats in
high
high
school?
school.
That's why.
Yeah, it could have been it. But
I did not do that.
I didn't have a tutor a ton, but like
AP
the
no.
like
Yeah.
what's that U.S. history one that's the worst?
American Heritage.
I had one for
Yes.
American Heritage. I had one for
Well,
like
yeah.
information systems was the worst class
Oh,
ever.
I
It was like
remember IS. I never had
coding.
to take that.
Yeah, so I did have a couple and they were super helpful. But
Yeah.
so ChatGPT helped me with these, and I like this one because this is like an us dynamic that we like to not argue about, but it's just a difference
Oh,
between
no.
us. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, I'm a morning person for sure.
Yeah.
When I was younger, when I entered college, I would say I was a night person.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I'm for sure a morning person. I really, if I last past 10 p.m., I get very cranky.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's me too.
I'm not the nicest version of myself past 10 o'clock.
No, I think that's great. I'm like, why are you looking at it like that?
I'm
I'm night.
interested to hear what you
Okay.
That's
say.
what he's saying. 'Cause he's morning, like all
Yeah.
the way, wake up early. He wants to go to bed super early, but me and my family are always
Night
like
owls.
night. And so like my family will call me for a conversation at like midnight just to like chat.
You
And
could
I'm like-
you could pull up on their house like most weekdays at 2 a.m, and most of them are awake.
Really?
Like
It
they'll
is
be
like the
calling
most
us,
incredible
like,
thing.
So like my dad will be calling me so late, and like you would think, oh, there must be something wrong, and then he's like, oh, how you doing?
yeah,
It's
just
like,
wants to call.
but and so
casual.
he hates it because I'm always I don't want to stay up by myself.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I
don't wanna
get
just be
that.
by myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't go to bed. And he's just like,
I'm like, I've been up
So
since
do
5.
can you sleep in?
So
'Cause
like,
I can't sleep in.
I can sleep in.
Okay.
Well, I have since I do have kids, like it's not like I can sleep in like
That
forever.
much.
But
Yeah.
like now that I'm like pregnant, like have like the excuse like, hey,
Well, it's
you
not an
know,
excuse.
it's
But
not necessarily an excuse. Like I am like
An
more
extra
tired.
Or
reason.
unless
An extra reason.
unless you're
Yeah.
saying
Oh.
it's an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse, but like
It's just one more reason.
I'm just like I'm like even more exhausted.
But
And
yeah,
so
you're growing a child.
I'm growing a child, and then in the morning, you know what I mean? He lets me sleep as long as I can until
See,
he
that's
has
a
to
good
leave.
balance.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
good.
great
It
balance.
is a good balance.
But then
you know?
he stays up with me late.
But then I stay up with her
but
till
then he's still getting
midnight or 1 in the
You know
morning,
what?
and
But it
I get up at
balances.
5.
I did read
It
a
balances.
study that women actually need more sleep than men. Men can function better off of less sleep.
It's true.
It's
So
true.
I
It's
just gave you
true.
ammo.
I won't argue it. She posted about that recently, so
yeah.
I've seen all
studied
about
public health.
I've
I
seen all
studied
about this
public
article.
health, So
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, thanks for backing me up.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll give you any ammo
Thank
of
you.
the sorted knowledge that I have of random
Perfect.
things like that.
I'm already regretting bringing my wife on
The
here because
girl-
I'm just gonna
girls
get
against
I'm gonna get
you.
I'm gonna get teamed up. But she's a morning person, so we're
True.
one in the same
That
there.
is true.
Okay, the next one. This often, well, actually, I was gonna say, we even tried to go to bed a little earlier like a couple nights ago.
Last night, 11.
Last 11 was the earliest this week.
Okay.
No,
The
that-
other nights,
That's pretty
Oh.
good.
we were gearing up. I don't want to like sound disgusting, but we were gearing up to go to bed, and a mouse popped out of our piano.
Guys, I had a mouse in my house like a
No.
couple weeks ago.
It's
It was horrible.
It's mouse
It was
season. I don't know.
huge.
oh,
It was huge.
It was
It was
Yes,
big.
a
mine
rat.
was like this big.
It was like a rat.
It was huge.
Oh, it was the king of the mice.
Yeah.
Where did it come? Like, where did it come out?
Yeah,
from?
I
where'd you see it?
watched
What was this?
This is so funny.
You
Let me
watched
tell you.
it?
Let me tell you the scenario. Okay, I'm in my garage and I have like a little exercise machine and I'm doing a little bit of cross training on it, and my dog is in there with me. It's just me and her.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, I see something go from underneath my garage door. So it came from outside,
Yeah.
Ugh.
underneath my garage door, and it darts into this corner. And I'm like, I know exactly where you're going. You're going in my storage room. So my dog chases this mouse into
Rat.
like, pretty much, yeah. Do you know Sean Olmstead,
Yeah.
volleyball coach?
Yeah.
I showed it to him and he was like, I'm going to be honest with you, that's massive. I was like, thank you for validating me because it was scary.
That is no
Genetically
mouse.
altered.
Yeah.
That is no mouse.
Yeah. So anyway, it goes into my storage room. My dog is trying to get it out of there.
Oh.
So I'm just waiting to see when it pops out. And
Yeah.
then it popped out when my sister and my niece, who's like 10 at my house,
my
and it pops out and it goes We're on the couch, goes around the couch, underneath into this closet. So I lined in the closet, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Except for in my shoes. So I lined the closet door with the sticky pads.
Oh, yeah.
And just waited.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was upstairs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear squealing.
Oh.
And my sister goes, Rosie got the mouse.
Oh,
and so
no.
anyway,
Oh, is that your dog?
yeah.
Oh, that's
Rosie
disgusting.
chased it onto one of the pads and its like little arm got stuck. And
Aw.
Rosie just kept it like patted down. And I was like,
Good dog though.
pays
Yeah,
off.
our dog
Instincts.
is useless.
Yeah, our dog was useless. For
The
for
mouse that we saw
was
went
tiny.
in our piano,
Yeah.
and it
Or
was
popped out
it
of our
was
piano.
under like the hammers of the piano, that like
Yes.
thing. It was like in that. It was underneath the hammer, so we were
So
banging
what'd
on the
you-
piano.
Yeah, what'd you do to catch it?
We couldn't. Like we tried everything. We tried to like
So
get
we
in.
went to like Smith's at like midnight or
Yeah.
11 right before it closed. Got a bunch of sticky pads,
Mhm.
and then it wasn't there the next morning in the pads. So we're like, okay, it avoided them.
Yeah.
And then the next night, like so 2 nights in a row, we're like getting ready for bed,
It's
and
just
then it
playing.
runs it
Mozart.
runs into our house now, or
No,
into our room,
bedroom.
into our bedroom. Yeah.
I
And-
would
and-
lose it.
And at this point, she hasn't seen it either times. Only I've seen it. So she's like questioning. She's like, "Are
Oh.
you
Well,
sure?"
the
Yeah.
first time he was like the mouse. He said I saw a mouse. It went into the piano. So we were looking at
Yeah.
the piano and we pulled the thing off the top. It was like the upright piano, like
Yeah,
a small one
yeah,
against.
yeah.
So we opened the what is
The
it
top
called?
panel,
Like the
yeah.
top panel, and he said that he saw the mouse sitting there, and he saw it before, but I had still never seen it. I was just freaked out.
Yeah.
The mouse ran in our room. He yells "mouse," and he's like, "It ran under our bed."
And yell.
I would have yelled for
Mouse!
sure.
Mouse.
He started crying because he saw the mouse.
Yeah.
No, and then we're looking under our bed. We tear apart our room for
Yeah.
the mouse. We couldn't see it for a while, and so I was
No,
like,
we had to,
I'm like, "Are you sure you
No,
saw
yeah.
a mouse?" I'm like, "Was it really a mouse?" And he's just like, "Why are
No
you
trust.
questioning me?"
no trust. Yeah. The
But
point
did
is,
you catch it?
We
Yeah,
caught
we
it.
caught it.
We caught
Okay.
it.
we
Got it.
kind of like
Okay.
pushed it out from under the bed, and she had a box, and it like jumped into the box, and then like
Yep.
we snuck like a sticky pad under the box, and
Those sticky pads.
eventually
So
it was
what
kind of
did
sad
you
when it was
do,
stuck.
though? I
just-
know
we
it's
just-
actually really.
It was
sad.
stuck in the pad, and it was in the
After.
box,
And
and
it
then I just
squeals.
I just put it in the trash.
Yeah, maybe
And-
we should have.
Yeah, we should probably cut that. Anyways, the point is,
Like, I
it's
didn't
now
know
our
what to
pet.
do. It was in a box, and I'm like, he actually put it in our neighbor's trash.
I did the same thing.
Stop.
I was like, I'm
Stop.
not
Wait,
responsible.
That
for
is
this.
only because
I
our
was
trash
like,
was full
we
though.
definitely can't put that in. but
Yeah.
yeah.
100%, I'm putting that in. That's
Okay.
hilarious.
Okay.
Because she's just as bad as us.
I did the exact same thing.
The
What was I supposed to
inhumane.
do?
Yeah. I can't let it die in my thing.
That's
Anyways,
what I thought. Yeah.
the point is, we always have good intentions, and something always keeps us up late, and so she wins. Another reason we're up is we're often watching the same couple TV shows. Is there a TV show that you recently binged?
Right now, I'm binging Outer Banks.
Mm.
Just came
Mm.
out
Great
with
one.
its new one. So, been binging that. But two go-tos are always Criminal Minds.
Mm.
Mm,
Love Criminal Minds.
okay.
And New Girl.
New Girl's a good one.
New Girl's great.
Yeah, New
That
Girl's
doesn't
great.
get old.
No,
Outer Banks, we dropped off like the 3rd season.
I
We were
did
just like,
too.
okay, there's more treasure.
Yeah, so it's the same storyline
Right.
every
It
single
is
time,
entertaining.
but it's great trash TV if you don't want to watch something like Love
Oh,
Island,
100%.
which I
Oh
also
my
love.
gosh.
Love Island,
But
Love Island.
we enjoyed and we get it, but it was just so long.
Yeah,
we were like
the
48
episodes are,
we were 48 episodes in, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have 10 more.
yeah,
It was
it's a
insane.
commitment.
And they're like hour-long
for
episodes, so I'm like,
sure.
that is 2 days that we've watched.
Yeah, you can't
For
think of
45
it like
minutes.
that.
You
You
just
gotta
gotta
just
watch.
embrace the trash TV and be like,
100%.
oh well, I've wasted.
Do you ever watch Love Is Blind? We've been
Oh,
watching that.
yeah.
Okay,
I
that's what we're,
haven't
like,
started
doing.
the new
Okay.
one. My
New one's
cousin
good.
said
We're
I
doing
needed
the
to
new
do
one.
it.
New
Okay.
one's really good.
Someone was telling me about watching it. Like I think it's kind of like a trend or something on TikTok where you watch it covered. Like you
Oh.
Put
cover
a
your
blanket.
screen.
A blanket, yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know if I would like have the patience to do that because
Yeah.
like you kind of like to see the interactions.
Yeah.
But like you basically play the same type of game. Like you cover the TV and you just like
Okay.
listen and,
And
you're
you don't
like,
know what they look like.
and you know what they look like and you're like,
Oh,
who would I pick or do you think that's a
Yeah.
good guy or do you or, you know?
Yeah.
And then you see
that's interesting.
At the
do you think
reveal,
that-
then you pull off the blanket.
at the reveal
Okay.
you pull up and then you're like just as equally shocked.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
like,
be.
I would maybe do that I don't know about it.
Just for
We're not
kicks.
doing that.
Just for kicks.
We don't have the patience.
I know
for
that's
anything
my
like
thing. Is
It's
I don't
just-
know if I'd have
You just be
patience. I
sitting
wanna
on the couch
see.
listening. Like maybe there's a podcast version.
Oh yeah,
Listening
that's
is
a
like
good
the worst
idea.
part though. We're just like we're just like hurt. Like we just want them to see each other because it's
Yeah.
always so awkward. They always actually hate each other once they see each other,
I
and it's just like
know.
let's just get to that part because it's most
That's what I
entertaining.
love too. Is I'm like,
The girls
You're
are
gonna
all,
hate.
always
Yeah.
like pulling away, and the guys are like
Yes.
trying to kiss them, and they're
yes. They're like, ah.
Well, the
Maybe next
the whole
time.
dialogue is like when they're in the pods, they're just like, yeah, I like it doesn't matter what you look like. It really
Yeah,
doesn't. I
but
love you
he-
so much, and the whole time you're thinking like, yes, it does.
I know it does
You're not
matter
going to
a
like this
little
person.
bit. Like I do agree with the assumption that it can be grown.
yeah.
But I'm like, but if you're not immediately,
No,
it's a little bit
I agree.
harder.
I agree. No, I
For
think
sure.
I think the premise is cool. It's like you connect on things outside of that,
Yeah.
which it's opposite in the outside world, but it's like I just hate when they're trying to convince themselves and the audience that like it really doesn't matter. To
I
me. It's
know.
like okay, Gabby's laughing because I
No,
get so into
no,
the show.
I'm,
I
like,
think it's like
laughing because
I think it's the most
fun.
interesting like human
No,
experiment.
you've
ever.
said
Sure.
you've said you're like this is the best TV show. This is the greatest TV show ever.
I've never said that.
Yeah, you said
No,
something
I have
like
not
that.
said that because that's not true. I
Or
don't
like
believe
this
that.
is the greatest experiment. Or like
Yes,
you,
I'll say that.
You said
For
stuff like
sure.
that.
I get
before.
really into it.
And I just like I'm laughing. I'm like he loves it.
Yeah.
You love it.
I do love it. I do love it.
Hey, I respect it. I love it too.
Good.
But I haven't seen the new one.
Okay.
Put that on my
Well, it's
to-do.
solid. It's solid. All right. Two more. What is another Olympic sport or event that you would find it the coolest to be a part? Like you could compete in, you could medal in.
Oh man. Okay, summer or winter games?
Let's go one of each.
Okay, Olympic Games or Summer Olympic Games. I would probably say beach volleyball.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
pretty
How
cool.
cool would that be?
Yeah, that's
and
that's
they were
cool.
right underneath the Eiffel Tower.
I know.
Like
That was a
wow.
cool
that's
spot.
cool. You
Yeah.
know. So winter, I would love. Honestly, figure skating. I think it's so fun to
Yeah,
watch.
it's pretty cool.
And you have to be
No, it's beautiful.
So
It's
exactly.
like gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch. I also look at them and I'm like, holy, you can move your body while skating. Like
Yeah.
like
Facts.
So
I'm
impressive.
very, very impressed by their talent. I love
yeah.
it.
Did you go watch? Because Sam, who
Yeah.
you met, the climber, he's like, yeah, you only get tickets once your event's over. He's like,
Mhm.
I was literally the last event, so I couldn't do anything. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't. I mean, he could have paid, but it's like the prices are absurd, and you didn't go there for that. So he didn't go
Yeah.
to any. What was yours? Where
I
were
was
you?
the same. My event
sucks.
ended on the 6th,
Mm.
and closing ceremonies were the 11th.
Mm.
So I did
Mm.
have there's no events on closing ceremony. So I had the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
So a little bit.
But what they would do is you had like a pool kind of where they would
Mm.
send you a link and you first come first serve on tickets.
Oh wow.
So
On the link.
hmm
Oh.
So by the
Ugh.
time I got, and the only two events left were beach volleyball and skateboarding.
Hmm.
That I think that they had.
And breakdancing.
I
Just
can't
kidding,
even
I'm just
remember
kidding.
if it was
Just
that
kidding.
time, but I probably would have gone. But I didn't get any, and like soccer was maybe a day or two after me, the women's final,
Yeah.
Mm.
that I would have loved to go to, but they were so expensive.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you weren't gonna get it on the link either.
That kind of
So-
sucks. I feel like
That is
yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
Should
I
give you guys
think-
more priority or just I don't know.
Is it like
Well,
a pool like you
accessibility.
versus other USA
Mhm.
athletes? Oh yeah.
Yeah. and
Which
that-
has the most? I mean, the US is the
Exactly.
most, so it's the
And
smallest.
it's like
pool.
after your
Exactly,
event, you're not
and-
gonna like wake up at the crack of dawn to like get on the link and get a
Mhm.
ticket.
Well, and too, some of the other sports that were the beginning of, the Olympics, they don't even have to be in the village. They could be anywhere in Paris
Yeah.
and still get to go and do all of these things or reserve tickets or things like that. So I think that was a little bit of a bummer.
Mhm.
Me and another track athlete, we were talking and they had said, it's kind of sad because you're a part of the Olympics, which is cool. So you get to see it in
Mhm.
such a different light.
Right.
However, you don't get to enjoy it the way that you do
Yeah.
when you're sitting at home, right? You get to watch everything and you get to be a part of everything. Where, I didn't go to opening ceremonies and so that I could stay here for altitude. And so you miss out on some of that.
Mm.
But then when I get there, I'm just focused on my race,
Right.
my things, and I'm on the back half. So a lot of people, when I got to the village, there was a lot of people there. And then once my event was over, my race was done, everyone was gone out of
Right.
the
Yeah,
village.
it's
And
true.
so, you just don't experience the Olympics in the same way that you guys do from the comfort of your
Right.
home.
Right.
Or even if you're just a spectator and you had already bought stuff, you experience it in a different way, which is obviously so cool.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you don't really get to see other events and,
Yeah,
or
that
other
is.
Yeah.
sports. And
wonder
it is
who-
kind of sad.
Who gets over with early? Like those people are lucky. Does it rotate, or they're just like
I think
they
it
hold out for track towards the
rotates.
end because it's kind of like
I don't
people
know.
love track.
I don't know. I
that's
have never
interesting.
paid enough attention
Yeah.
to that.
me neither.
You know, I believe that gymnastics was over pretty
Mm.
early,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. But again, I didn't even keep track of other sports because
Just like
How
locked
yeah,
can
you're
you?
locked
Yeah,
in. You're thinking
yeah.
of your own
just like
things.
stressed probably though. How long
Mhm.
were you in France then total?
I want to say around anywhere from I think 10 days to like 2 weeks.
Okay, so
I
they
can't
didn't want you to
remember.
go there too early because there's like a higher altitude here, or is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so I live and train at altitude,
Mhm.
and there's a different type of
Like science behind it.
yeah, the science is different. And I could have gone, you know, Whitney and I, we both opted out of opening
Mm-hmm.
so that we could stay here. We could have gone and then try to get to St. Moritz in Switzerland, which some of the other Utah Olympians
Yeah, I think Kenneth.
did.
That's where
Mhm.
Kenneth went. Yeah.
Kenneth
Hmm.
and Connor Mance and Clayton, they all went and did that. However, you look at the travel of that and the amount of time that we had, it just didn't make sense.
Be more tired.
Exactly. And it's, you know, a 6-7 hour travel to get to St. Moritz from Paris, but the flight's only like 8.5 hours
Right.
from here to Paris. And so there was kind of a toss up, and we ended up deciding that. But that was
Seems
the
like a
deciding
good choice. Yeah.
yeah, and I think for both of us, we both definitely feel like we made the best
Yeah.
decision. But yeah, so
now
you
you
just
need to go back and just hang out.
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in France or
Yeah.
other place.
I know. So, but yeah, those would be the sports that I would pick. But you just experience it so different.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's
Which is-
case in point. Like you weren't even at
Yeah.
opening ceremonies. Like you
Mhm.
think like, oh, Olympians, they go there, they're staying in the village, they're all mingling, but it's like no, they're
Seeing every
they're there-
sport.
they're
like,
there for their
front
job.
row.
Like, and so you
Yeah.
go when it makes
Yeah.
sense for you to go, or you're in Switzerland because it makes sense for
Mhm.
you to train in Switzerland, and then you focus on your sport. So yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and then yeah, we just get to sit on the couch and like judge
Criticize.
everyone. Yeah,
Which is
I
so
can't believe that
fun.
guy did that. Like,
Yeah.
I would do so much better.
I know. Well, and I think about that a lot. I used to religiously watch gymnastics,
Mm.
soccer, and figure skating growing up.
Mhm.
And obviously track. My family was a track family, but those were the ones that I really paid attention to.
Mhm.
And I would always, you know, critique or judge or, you know, whatever. And then you get there and you're like, whoa.
Like, please don't
I
judge
know.
me.
I'm like, I'm actually doing my very best out here.
And you
But
will not
that's so
beat me.
hard.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
on this enormous stage, like the biggest stage
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, and it's the coolest stage. but
Coolest.
Very different. It's a different experience, but obviously very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gavin and I were looking up your best times because
Mhm.
obviously you did steeplechase in the Olympics, and you ran a couple different things as you mentioned earlier in college, and I'd
Mhm.
imagine even more in high school, right? So you have all sorts of personal bests, and like we wrote them down. And my first thought
I
is like
love it.
I'm looking at the times, and I'm just like, how many people think they can just beat like
Mm-hmm.
people are just delusional.
Yeah.
Like in basketball, you see it all the time, and I think it was
Mhm.
Austin Rivers, who's like an ESPN guy and played in the league for a long time. His dad is the coach of the Bucks. I generally disagree with everything he says, but he said this thing that made a lot of sense to me. He's like,
Yeah.
the thing about basketball is everyone does it. Everyone plays it. Like you have the rec center, you have pickup, you have church leagues. Like so, the average fan like plays, and so therefore
Mhm.
like just puts themselves into the
Immediately.
same shoes, going like, why can't this guy do that?
Mhm.
I can do it. It's like no, you can't, right?
Like,
Yeah.
I
Like
could
they're
be
just
there,
they're just
like,
delusional because
Yeah.
they're
I can
playing
make
the
the
same
team.
sport, right?
Yeah.
But like running, you could argue is similar because like
Mhm.
a lot of people run like
Yeah.
as their fitness or like a hobby for fun to stay in shape, and so I'd imagine that like there's a lot of that in track and field too, where it's just like I could do that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you couldn't.
I think there is a lot of that. I feel like for myself, I feel like I have a very positive experience with things like that.
Mm.
However, you do always get some that feel maybe more so entitled because steeple's such a unique event that most
Yeah.
people haven't done it. You know, I didn't even do it until I was in college.
Right.
So I had never had any experience to it. So some people do feel maybe, like you said, maybe more entitled of, well, you should have done this, or if you just did this and this would happen, and you're like, I actually really wish, you know, or some people would be like, oh, I wish you placed better, and I'm like, me too.
I know
Me too.
people have said that.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, you
memes-
mean you're like
yeah.
you mean at the Olympics that I
Yeah.
qualified for and finished like 12th in the world.
Well, this one
crazy.
wasn't from the Olympics. This was last year. I had gotten 15th at Worlds, which is the same process
Right.
as the Olympics.
You have to
It's-
qualify. There's
exactly.
heats. Yeah.
But it's the same people, same everything.
Yeah.
It's just not the Olympics. And I had gotten last in the final, but I was still, you know, 15th in the
Yeah.
world, top American, all the things. And someone messaged me and was like, really?
No.
Dead last? How embarrassing.
Oh
And
my
I was
No, they
God.
didn't.
I was like, all right, let's put some lemon in the wound.
Oh my
like,
Block.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
yeah. So I mean,
Find them.
any athlete
Yeah,
gets
100%.
that portion of it. But I would say overall, it's such a cool experience. And something that's funny of that is my siblings are always saying, we should have a race where me versus my siblings and post it so that people can see
That like how
Right.
fast
what
you
a
are.
normal
The average show.
like an
That's
average
true.
person. And you know, people are like, oh, well, it's my siblings, so they should have the similar genetic, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So they always say we should post that, and it's
We can
never
do it. I'll do
happened,
it.
but
I'll
we
volunteer.
should do it.
Because like you're doing
Eric's like, I'll race.
how many meters? It's
like,
it's
let me race you.
3,000 meters, right?
Yes.
Which is
Almost
almost
2 miles.
almost
Yeah.
2 miles,
Mhm.
and you're doing it in 9 minutes and some change.
Yes.
I mean, that's like
That's
absurd.
insane. Yeah,
'Cause
we were
my-
looking
Yeah.
at your stats and we're like, or your times, and we're last
You're
night,
so
and we're like,
nice.
oh my gosh,
'Cause-
we're like, it's like 9:04, 9:06 or something. Your best.
906. Yeah.
9:06.
Nice.
That was good. Yeah. You have a lot. I appreciate the knowledge of
All that
of
knowledge
that.
up there.
9:06, guys.
Well,
I love
it's,
it.
it's like, I mean, I'm saying this because like 2 or 3 days ago, me and TJ, who I work with, who you know, and then one of our other buddies, we were at lunch and we're like arguing like who the better athlete was like in our prime. Like we're already at that
In the
point in our lives.
prime.
Like,
I love it.
losers.
I love it.
We're losers. And so we're like, well, who's the fat? And he played football in college, and then TJ and I played, you know, basketball, and he's a really good athlete as well. And one of my points, because they were like killing me on my 40 time, they were like, well, what would your 40 time have been? Like, you're big and slow. And I'm like, no, I'm fast. Like, I have a
Yeah.
faster mile. I probably had a faster mile than you guys. And my freshman year at BYU, I ran a 5-minute flat mile.
Oh, that's very good.
But I know it,
For
it
like
is
a
really
big- for
good.
like a
and,
big guy.
and I
No,
was
but
in,
even in
or, I mean,
general,
yeah, even
five,
general
but
five.
for
yeah,
sure,
but
for sure.
you do
And I
have a
was in-
lot more
I was in-
body to
I was in
carry.
great
His legs
shape,
are really
and I have
long,
really
yeah.
long legs. Like I'm
Yeah.
like level with you guys sitting, and my legs are just everything. But
He
the
has
point
really
is,
long legs, yeah.
like, I like my freshman year of college, I was probably the most athletic,
Yeah.
you know, that I was in the career of my.
He's just
No,
hy-
this
I
is me
love
against me. I'm not hyping myself up. I'm saying that's the most athletic
Oh,
I
I
ever
thought you were
was.
saying the most athletic, like, out of your team.
I was the greatest athlete on
Like-
earth. No, I was like, I,
out of the team
I was the
at
most
time.
athletic then, and I ran a 5-minute mile, and you blow that out of the water 2 times, and with obstacles. Like it is
That's
like
insane.
it's crazy because like I'm what I'm saying is I hang my hat on that number as I'm arguing
Yeah.
with other really good athletes,
Yeah.
and it's not even close to what you're doing. So props to you.
Well, I appreciate that, but a 5-minute mile is actually nothing to.
Thank you.
That's very
was- I
impressive.
was like
Was it
11
actually
it was-
5 minutes?
It was 11 years ago. Yeah, hater. It was 11
I
years
want to
ago.
see the
Or
time.
was it 6?
It might have
See
been like a sliver under 5 even.
No.
No, it was 5.
I
You
love
Our-
did
it.
not dip into
I
the
had,
floor.
you ask the rest of the team. They make fun of me because I was a freshman. I wanted to win. He's like, why are we even running the mile anyways? My first lap, I ran like super quick, like 53 seconds or something like
How
that.
did this conversation shift towards your running abilities?
I love it. I love
I'll
it.
always, because it's a Big E show. I can do whatever I want.
He's like, enough about that. Like, this is how fast I can run.
Yeah, so the average Joe thinks they're so much better than you. Let's talk about why I
Okay.
am.
I respect it.
Enough of that.
No, you can finish if you
no,
want.
no. The point was, it was 5 minutes flat.
I remember you threw up after, though.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I crossed the finish line, and I ran the first lap really fast, and the coaches were like telling me to slow down.
Yeah,
Like they were like, you're
classic.
not going to, because I
Yeah.
didn't run the mile.
You're not gonna keep that.
I didn't
pace
run
for
the mile,
another
and so I ran
1200.
it fast. The second one a little bit slower, third one a little bit slower, fourth one was like really
Just-
slow, and 2 of my teammates passed me. But like they ran sub 5-minute miles that day. It was Tyler Hawes and
Oh,
Skylar
wow.
Halford. And I crossed the finish line, walked like 10 feet. It was the track that you guys,
Yeah.
is the BYU track.
Yeah.
And then I just walked to the
That
edge
track
and
has seen many throw ups.
and just threw up. Yeah,
For
just
sure.
added to the history of that track. so.
Welcome. Now you experience what I
Yeah,
experienced.
so
a lot.
we've had,
Yeah.
some
I wonder if there's
crossover
like a
there.
throat smell just like permanently.
No, I hope not.
Probably.
On the
Gross.
track.
We've talked about
Probably.
rats and throw up on this episode. People are like, you guys are gross.
Nasty.
They're like, who is this girl?
And I'm going to add to the grossness because we have one more chat GBT rapid fire.
Love
It's
the
all
chat.
been intermingled, so I'm okay going back to one. This one's really interesting. Would you rather have an extra finger or an extra toe?
Oh my gosh. Probably, you know what? Coach Taylor will appreciate this. Probably an extra toe because I just have runner's feet and they are just not anything to look
So
at.
it just doesn't matter.
So I'm like,
Tack it
whatever. They're
on.
already
Like,
ugly.
what?
Just add another toe. To be honest,
That's awesome.
I'm so serious, Coach Taylor. One time, so I was getting injured. I was at the point of I had a fracture in my leg, but we didn't really know it yet. I mean, I
Oh.
kind of knew it, but
What part of your leg?
You're trying to like suppress the
tibia.
Oh.
idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
you guys know. You guys are athletes where you're like, oh, it's actually totally
you.
fine. And so I sent her a video of me. Do you know what the firefly things are where you put them on your knee
Yeah,
and it like
yeah,
makes your leg twitch?
Yeah, kind of
So I
kind of like
sat-
a little.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I sent her a video of my foot twitching and she was like, did you break your foot? Why does it look like that? And I was like, that is my normal foot.
Like, that's not the area of
No.
concern
Yeah, I'm
here.
like,
No, I
and
just
these-
got a pedicure actually. Thank
yeah,
you.
no, literally. I'm like, actually, these are in their prime right now. She was like, you have the ugliest feet I've
Oh,
ever
no.
seen.
So
So
funny. I
just
love
slap
how she
another
just
toe
said
on it,
it.
and I don't even
Doesn't matter.
care.
People are already
Yeah,
looking
it's like
away as
runner's
quickly
feet,
as possible.
basketball
Yes.
feet. just
Well,
the
like, I
obvious
have
feet.
tiny feet. It's not proportional to my body,
Mm.
and they're fat.
Is
So
that-
shout
is
out
that-
to my parents.
Is that advantageous, or is it?
I don't know, but I did hear some. Well, I'm gonna just tell you about my feet right now.
Tell them.
But-
Show them.
We're down. We're
Let me
down.
just
Pull 'em
look
out
up-
now on
We're
my
down a
table.
dark
Venmo me
path.
$10 for that
Yeah,
after.
seriously.
But-
More than that. Come
Yeah.
on. More than 10.
I should raise my stock. But no, okay, so something with your toe shape, there
Hmm.
is supposed to be science. I don't know if it's actually science. But
Okay.
with your toe shape, fast feet have a certain like angle on their toes, and it's people with their second toe is longer than their big toe,
That's why I'm so fast.
which I do have that. But
So
I
it's
got
not the size; it's the
like
size of the
that
second
long
toe.
toe,
That
I
beast.
think
Pushes
I'm
off.
gonna tell everyone that
It's like
it's the
this.
toe.
Yeah.
So give me another one.
Yeah, give me another
Maybe
one.
I'll
Another
make
long one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I get made fun of my
Hilarious.
feet too, so we're
Yeah.
again in the same boat. I have a toe that like I broke in like 8th grade.
yeah.
We just never realigned it, and it's just got a mind of its own. It just kind of
No,
just
no,
kind of
it's
wanders.
the
You're
long-
like, can you put that
It's
link
the
over
really
it,
long
actually?
second
No, really,
one.
her family
It's
will
really
tell
long,
me that.
but broken, so it's like snaggled.
Oh,
Snaggled
he's
is such a
just-
that's the wrong. That's so sick.
What is it called? Like a snaggle toe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
You
Then
can have
we're
a
coining
snaggle
that.
toe.
But for
I
your
respect
advantage,
that.
you're
Yeah,
5-minute
it made me
mile.
jump really, really high.
Yeah.
And run a 5-minute mile.
Yeah.
Maybe even a shade under.
Athlete over here, based on the toe.
That
Okay, well,
makes
I'm
me-
actually super glad I asked that because that was I mean, you wear shoes, so
Yeah.
you cover them up. You don't want to wear gloves, 6-fingered gloves all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Just be kind of funky. So, another
An
toe.
extra nail to get done.
What's
you know?
the big deal? Yeah, right. And you know you'll get charged.
True.
Okay, so Olympics. It's been about 4 months. Do you feel like things have cooled down? Did you have another? You had another tournament. Did you go to Diamond after? Or
Yeah,
did-
so
okay.
I had another race. I did a Diamond League in Rome
Yeah.
at the end of August.
So not really much
Wow.
time to relax. It's just like on to the next one.
Yeah, there was kind of just a lot going on in that time and
Yeah.
coming home from the Olympics and just personal things in life happening too. And so it was a quick turnaround. And I was kind of already going back and forth on, do I want to continue the season? Should I just shut it down? How am I kind of feeling? And I ended up deciding to go,
Mm-hmm.
which was a good experience. I ran about the exact same time that I ran at
Yeah.
the final in the
Nice.
Olympics, which wasn't the best I've ever
okay.
done. Okay, so
I'm like,
I
great,
yeah,
congrats.
no,
You're
I
like,
love
go girl.
it. It's good perspective. But yeah, so in the final at the Olympics, I ran 9:13, I believe,
Mhm.
and then in this Rome race, I ran 9:14. So it was an off day, both of those days, but those at one point that was my PR for a long
Right.
time. So
Right.
Because your best time was the trial. right?
At 9:06
The
the trials.
9:06.
Yeah. So actually at the Olympics, when I got there, my 2 fastest times was 9:06 and 9:09, and then my next fastest time was 9:11.
Okay.
So in the prelim, I ran 9:10. So I'd actually run one of the fastest times I'd ever run
That's crazy.
in my life
Yeah.
in the prelim, and then came back 2 days later and then ran 9:13, which was also one of the fastest times I'd ever run in my life. So perspective wise, there's a lot of room to grow and get better. But yeah, so that's what I ended up doing after the Olympics was I had Rome, and then I did a road mile, the 5th Ave road mile in New York.
Wow.
So super fun.
So much traveling.
I know. I went to Rome, and then I went to Zurich. That's where On My Brand is headquarters are
Cool.
based. So I went to Switzerland, and then went to New York, and then came back to Utah.
That's so cool. Do you
So
feel like
cool.
you've
It's
been able to relax, like the hype has died down a little bit, like take a deep breath and be like, okay, like that was like process all that happened the last couple months between the Olympics and the Diamond League and all this travel and I mean qualifying and I can't even imagine like the stress, appearances, the stress, the anxiety
is it still
of
just
like
kind of like going. I mean, obviously we like dragged you on
Yeah,
here.
no,
Like,
I mean,
like it would have been if
Are
I
you
didn't have to
s-
come on this show.
aren't you so sick of
No.
the media?
no, I would say it was probably a whirlwind up until a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And then the last couple weeks, I've really tried to take time of just being just my own
Sure.
person for a
Mhm.
second,
Normal
and
life.
trying to process things.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot going on, and like you said, travel, Olympics, things like that. And
Yeah.
so I would say now it's starting to settle down, where I
Okay.
definitely think I'm starting to. This sounds so bad, but I don't think about the Olympics as much as I thought maybe you would,
Right.
which I think is a good thing, because it didn't mean that was the pinnacle
The
of
defining
my
moment,
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like, wow, I'm an Olympian now. Like,
Now what?
I've done it,
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Okay, now let's figure out what next I need to do
Right.
with life, or,
Well, you're better than me because I'd be like, I'm an Olympian. Don't talk to me.
you
too big for
definitely, me at 14 or 12, that's what I kind of envisioned. But once I got there, at least personally, it was everything I wanted it to be. There, obviously, I hoped that I'd have a better final performance or things like that, but I know that comes with time and
Mhm.
experience. And so, yeah, I got there and I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing. But this won't be the coolest thing I've ever done with
Yeah.
my life, or
That's
things
cool.
like
That's
that.
a really
That's
good
cool.
perspective too.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, okay, it's all downhill from
Yeah,
here.
right. Yeah, we're
Well,
only
life
like,
sucks now.
yeah. So I would say that's probably my perspective on it.
I
So
like
I don't
that.
think about it as
That's totally fair.
much,
Cool.
It just kind of is probably surreal too. It's like, oh, did that even happen?
Yeah,
Like,
it does feel like a fever dream. I will be honest. I was asking Whitney the other day. I was like, "Do you feel like Paris was like a fever dream?" And she was like,
she's like, what, Paris?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
yeah, because it's just. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but you're so locked in, and then you race, then you do this, and then you're like, whoa. And then
Right.
you go to the track and you watch other people race, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget that
Right.
you were also just
Because it's
doing
kind
that.
of like routine. Not that you're like on autopilot, but like it's not the first race you've ever run, the first thing you've qualified for, the first time you've
Yeah.
dialed in nutrition and training and travel, and it's like you
Yeah.
do this, and there's more hype to it, but it's like that's why you're a pro, right?
Yeah,
because you're
there's-
able to just block that out and do it.
And there's something more familiar. But I will say, walking out on the track for the first time, and you're, striding out to go to the start line, and the stadium is just roaring.
That's so cool.
That was the coolest moment.
Wow.
That's where
Yeah.
it's like, I've experienced big stadiums with Diamond Leagues, but that was a whole different
Wow.
thing, and nothing really, you can't really prepare for that in
Yeah.
the best way. It was
Right.
like awe-shocking, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, I'm at the Olympics.
That's
Yeah,
so
So
cool.
that definitely was the moment where I was like, whoa.
That's pretty cool. Just like shivers, just like
Mhm.
yeah. That's pretty
That
cool.
was the difference of it being maybe more routine, where I
Right.
was like, whoa, oh my gosh.
This is big time.
Yeah, and I had a woman that was from France in my race in the final.
Oh,
and
they were just going.
that
nuts.
was crazy, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch and be a part of.
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine, because you have plenty of time, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of athletes will just talk about just stay healthy, right? And just keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing, improving, and you're in a good place to go compete again in 4 years. I'd imagine that's what you're, set on doing. And that'll be then you'll be like the French athlete in LA. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the goal, is train for another 4 years, try to make another Olympic team, the next Olympic team, and then let's see what we can do on home turf. I think that's something special. And I always have said, like, 2028, for sure I'll always go to that. And that would be my first Olympics here in the U.S., which is so cool. And my first ever team that I made was also here in the U.S. And that was the first time world champs had ever been held on U.S. soil. So I think that would be awesome.
It's good juju. Yeah, that's cool. That just reminds me, now you've, I guess, in a way overachieved, because like you've already been, right? So you were like, I'll at least get there. But now you've already been there once, and you were almost there 2020. Can you like talk about that? Because like I'm trying to think when it was, not this last summer, but the summer before, I had Michaela Skinner on the show, and like there was some parallels to your guys' story, just like being the last one cut, like, which was your case, right? I mean, like, how hard is that? And how hard is it? For me, it's just like crazy to think. Obviously, you have lots of events. It's not like that's your only chance to race, like as a pro, but like it is for 4 years on that specific stage. So how hard is it to like sit and like have that motivate but not fester for 4 years to then get ready for the next one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, honestly, it helps that in the track world we have world champs. Right. So if whoever didn't make the Olympic team in 2024, well, next year we have a world champ team.
Yeah.
And it's a different title, but it's still just as cool of an accomplishment.
It's regarded, you're a world champ.
So I think that helps, where in 25, 27, we have world champs. So those are things to look forward to gear up for. Right. So it's always kind of keeping the mentality of what's coming next. And I had that. So in 2021, that was the 2020 Olympics, and that was when I got 4th at Olympic trials. And then 2022, we had a world champs. 2023, we had a world champs, and 2024. Okay. So I did have
something to
things to look forward to, but I would say being on the cusp is not fun. I will admit that. It's very bittersweet, where you're very happy with your performance and you're excited, but it's really sad. I know for me, I watched that Olympics, and the final was on my birthday. And to me, it was going, right. And I wanted it to
just let her in then.
I know. I wanted it to be this really cool, special thing. And it was, but it made me really sad. I had to turn the TV off, just being transparent, because it made me sad I was so close to getting there.
I could have been there. Like, that could have been
exactly
me.
Where I'm like, if I just run a couple seconds faster, it would have been me. So there you have these moments that I do want to acknowledge, but there are moments, whereas I would say the mentality is more so, I don't want to feel like that again. And, in the last 250 meters at this Olympic trials, I was in 4th, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that feeling again, because I've already done it before, and I'm really not doing that again. And so that moment ended up really aiding in making sure that I gave everything that I could to make the Olympic team. But so being right on the cusp really helped. But at the time, also, that was my first real year of running the steeple. So getting 4th at Olympic trials, I was like, oh my gosh, I could be really good at this thing. And I just proved that to myself, to everyone else. And so it was more sweet than bitter. Yeah, for sure. Because I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, I can be one of the best. And it just instilled a lot of belief. And I was in college still. So I had another year to come back in college. And so there was more, honestly, not making it was the best thing that could have happened to me, to be honest, because I didn't get it. And so it left me hungry.
That's pretty cool. And how many years have you done steeplechase now?
So I did it in 2017, which was my freshman year, but I had gotten injured, and I had only done 3. So I did those 3, and then I was injured in 2018, injured in 2019. COVID was 2020. Jeez. So my first real year was 2021. Yeah. And then 22, 23, 24. So this is
fourth, like this
fourth,
is the
like,
fourth full year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
how much do you see yourself improving? Like,
Or how long is like a average like career span for like a track athlete? Is that kind of what you're
no,
saying,
yeah,
or
like
no?
I mean, your
'Cause I'm
goal is
curious
to
about
make it
that
to the
too, like
next,
especially for women.
Yeah.
right?
Like
Yeah.
You make it to the next Olympics. That's obviously you think you'll be in the sport for 4 more years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you think your best time 9:06 is that like, oh, I can crush that? Like, I don't know, compared to
Yeah.
like the last 3 or 4 years that you're kind of novice to the sport. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's your feeling on, and what's the goal like going to the next round, and how long do you think you'll do this?
Yeah. So, for women
Mm-hmm.
in my sport, I think in distance running on the track, women peak around the age of 29. So,
Oh,
okay.
give or take,
Mm-hmm.
some years here or there. Someone like Emma Coburn and Courtney Frericks, they're, I think, around 32, 33.
Yeah.
And they've run some of their fastest times later in their 30s. So there is that aspect. But around, like I said, give or take 29
Mm-hmm.
is about the age of that, or you'll start kind of moving up in distances, especially with the steeple. It's hard on your body.
Yeah.
It's a different level of hard. All running is hard, but it's just a little bit different, a little different type of fatigue. So I would say that's about
29-ish. Okay.
yeah, about
Give
the
or
age.
take. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I heard something super interesting. Like he had a teammate whose sister was a professional track athlete. I don't remember what she ran.
Yeah,
I think it was maybe sprint.
It was definitely
Okay.
sprint. Yeah.
And she was like Nike or Under Armour too for a second, right? I
Mhm.
don't
I
remember.
think she was Nike.
Yeah.
But she was telling me that because I think I was asking her because like last year I was actually pregnant as well. I have like kids really close.
I
so,
love
like,
it. I love
I'm like
it.
always pregnant right now. But like I was like asking her kind of like about women specifically because I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it's like so different and hard for women athletes, especially like, like if they want kids or like there's so
Yep.
many different aspects and different factors that like men don't even have to consider when it
Mhm.
comes to like professional sports.
Yep.
And she was saying that she had teammates who had ran their faster times even after they had given birth. Like
Yeah.
that the pregnancy or some like women power that had made them like be even faster, which was like so inspiring to me because I'm like, okay, it's not like, oh, you get pregnant, you have a baby, like you're done.
That's
It's
it
like
for you.
you like can get faster. Like you're like women's
Mhm.
bodies are so incredible. They can like
yeah.
So have you seen that? Like do you have like teammates or like people who have
Yeah.
had kids and still like been running or because I'm like, I feel like
Yeah.
that would also be a big factor in when a career would end for some women.
Totally. Yeah. So when I was actually in college, I had a teammate. Her name was Erica Burke Jarvis. She had a baby.
Wow.
In the middle of
In like during college.
Mhm. Yeah. So she had him, which is funny. He'll turn 7 in a
Oh
month.
my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Wow.
So had him and then came back. So she had him in December of 2017. And by November of 2018, she was top 7 at NCAAs.
Dang.
Oh my
yeah, that's
gosh.
dope.
And got second in the DMR and got, I think, like 5th or 6th in the
That's
3K
insane.
and then 5th in the steeple. So she definitely exponentially got tons faster. And I think there's a whole movement right now, especially with women's pro running.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, there's a timing aspect, but there's more women getting pregnant. There's more women having children.
Love it.
And I can't speak for what it's like to be pregnant or be a
Mhm.
mom or what those sacrifices look like. But I think it's becoming more, like you said, we have more women to look to. If that
Mhm.
is something that you want to pursue, that you can see that other women do it, and it fills you with more hope of
For sure.
women's bodies are incredible.
Being like the norm, being accepted, like, oh, you
Mhm.
can like get pregnant, have a baby, come back.
Yeah,
instead
you don't
of
have
like,
to be either or.
oh, is that it? Like for
Mhm.
me, if you find out you're pregnant.
Yes, and definitely, you know how it is for women. There's an either or.
Mhm.
I know for myself, that's something that is not going to happen in my life
Yeah.
at this current time. But I there's people that I compete against that have gotten pregnant recently or things like that. There's a lot of really awesome examples in women's professional running, and I think they're shifting the conversation that it doesn't have to be either or.
Mhm.
So
I love it.
it is really cool.
That's really cool.
yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Speaking of like Diljit's one of my favorite people on earth, and you guys having this conversation, I just think of her because of the run for her and the the girl dad camp that she's put on at BYU. Like she's a rock star. I just saw her the other night, and I'm like, she's like the coolest lady I've ever met.
Yeah,
and
she
obviously
really is.
you know that she's your coach,
Yeah.
and you guys have been working together for 7-8 years.
We just wrapped up 8. This
Wow.
is 9.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Yeah. So almost a decade.
That's like
Wow.
That's like how long we've been together. So it's
How
like
long
no,
we've
but
been
really
married.
you've
Yeah.
spent, but like you
Yeah.
spend that much time when you're training
Mhm.
and traveling as much as you guys are. So it's important that you're paired with someone inspiring like her. There's probably a million things, but is there a story or a line that sticks out from her? Because she's been on the show, and honestly, that was like she blasted everybody out of that season. Like it was the coolest, most inspiring. Like
Yeah.
I don't really have much interest in coaching, but like after that episode, I was like, maybe I should. Like
yeah.
she just
Yeah.
like makes you think, man, coaching is the most rewarding, coolest thing ever. You can have the biggest
Yeah.
impact because she has. So
Mm-hmm.
of all the millions of things she's taught you and the lessons learned, is there one thing that stands out? I want to give her a shout out and hear like, what is that for you?
Oh gosh, she's done so much. Honestly, for me, she has changed my life, and I've talked about that a lot and very openly because it is true. She instilled belief, and she instilled hope and trust and a good relationship with me and things like that. But if I had to pick one, I'm trying to think. The one thing that I think, there's so many, but one that I'll say right now
There you go.
is how much belief and self-belief and also trust means. For her, I know that she's never going to tell me something without the intent of it making me better, whether that's on the track, whether that's as a person. I have that trust in her that she is going to say things, and she has a motto where she'll never tell you a lie. So if I went into her office and I said, I want to be an All-American,
Yeah.
and I was not in shape to do it, she would look at me and be like,
She's just blunt,
maybe
straightforward.
let's like focus on doing this instead, or let's get here first.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a freshman in college, and she pulled me and my other teammate, Olivia Hoy, and said, one day you guys are going to be on the podium for cross country.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. And you know what? We got
Wow.
second NCAAs my last year. And, and then me and that same teammate, we won the DMR in indoor nationals. And so, she really is so good at instilling trust and belief. And I know that has really shaped the way that I believe in myself. And something for me is in my career, in a lot of different ways, I've had to be really patient in having success come in a lot of different ways. For example, when I was in college, I didn't make it to indoor outdoor nationals in track until my 5th year. And she was always on the train with me of patience and belief. And all the time she'd always say, you're going to do it. We're going to do it. You can do it. We're going to do it. Those kinds of things. And I know that right, especially right now, that's always what I go back to, is that we will do it. And so if I have a lackluster performance or things don't go the way that I thought, I have been hearing that phrase and those phrases from her that I believe that it will come to fruition. And if I just stay locked in, doing what I'm doing, trying to have fun with things and doing things like that, then things will come. And that has greatly shifted my mindset of not just on the track, but also off the track. Going through a lot of hard personal things, I've been able to say it's going to get better, or things are going to be different, or if I'm just patient, things will change, or things like that. I feel like it has really shifted. Those two simple things of trust and belief has really shifted more than just on the track. But that's something that I rely on a lot.
That's cool. That's a great answer.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll love hearing that. That's a cool connection. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, when you were talking, I'm thinking about, like, the longest I was with anyone in my pro career was like 3 years, like 3 seasons, and those were broken up, one, and then like 3 years later I was with the same strength coach, for another 2 seasons, and like we're really, really close. So you multiply that by more than 2, almost 3.
Yeah.
You're going on your 9th year, it's
Yep.
like, dang, that's like, you can build a pretty cool bond doing that. So
Especially at the age of 18. I turned 18 and 2 weeks later I was in college.
yeah,
So I was just, you know, and that was her first time at BYU as well. She had just gotten
Wow.
hired right before then. And so she's had me and seen me through a lot of different phases of life and in a lot of different places. And she's been the consistent, well, I have a lot of support and a lot of awesome things, but she's been the consistent in everything with a hand in everything that has been there with me through a lot of different things. And I think most of her women that come through the program and now run pro can say the same thing. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
a decade definitely builds a lot of things between,
Yeah.
you know, you and your coach.
yeah, that's super, super cool. All right, last question. You have a pretty incredible video from when you went to the White House. You've probably been asked about this a lot.
Yeah.
You hand the
You're like, "Not
phone,
that."
you hand the phone over to Biden.
Yeah.
You just like, I mean, tell me about that.
Yeah.
What spurred that? How that video's been? I just think it's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious. Okay, I'll tell you what it was. So he was greeting as many Olympians and Paralympians that he could.
Right.
There's obviously a ton of us,
Right.
and I was kind of up in the stands, and I made my friend Nikki. We like Nikki just knows how to maneuver through people.
So
and
just get to the
yeah,
front.
I was like, Nikki, can you just
Yeah.
Push your
maneuver
way
us?
through.
So we did, and we ended up getting to the front of this little thing, and there ended up being a lot of actually other distance runners behind us. So it was just this little collective of distance runners.
Yeah.
And he was coming through, and I'm like, I just need to at least get a photo or a video of
Yeah.
someone or something, you know? So I'm going to, Nikki wanted a video. So I go to record this video, and I have it rolling. Then I pause it, and then I was like, oh, he's kind of coming. And so I press play or like press record again. And he looks at me. We like make eye contact. And I'm like, this is my moment. I need to get it. And so I have the video recording in my left hand.
Yeah.
And he says like, oh, can I shake your hand? So I'm like, yeah. So I go to reach my hand, and he just takes my phone right out of my left hand. And as he's reaching for it, I look that it's recording, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep that going for sure.
For sure.
And then I give it to him, and he's trying to get it to stop recording. And so I was like, oh, I'll just. And then he takes the phone and has like a selfie with all of us.
That's awesome.
So it was really funny, and it blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
I posted it on there, and it blew up. And then obviously the election was a couple days ago, so then it re-blew up again. And I'm like,
It's so funny.
I get enjoyment of watching it every
Oh
single
yeah,
time.
no. It's
He was
hilarious.
precious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just precious, and I was like, you can just have my phone. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's yours to take.
No,
But
yeah, I think like I saw that video, and the top comment was like, when your toddler gets a hold of your phone. So like it was funny for me because it's like exactly
Yeah.
what our boys, they just grab it and they're just kind of like
Yep,
like
exactly.
just,
He
like,
was just there.
trying to figure out, okay, now which is the button. Like
yeah.
when I FaceTime her and I'm away from home, and like my 3-year-old like is looking for the hang up button. It's kind of just like,
yeah.
that's
That-
what Biden was doing.
That's exactly what
It's
he was
incredible.
doing. And I was like, ooh, sorry. And then he just was like, I'll take a selfie with
That's
everyone.
so
I'm like,
funny.
yeah, we for sure need that.
That's amazing.
So it was cool. He was very kind and
Yeah.
very nice, but it was very funny. And when I looked at my phone again, I was like, yeah, you're going to take that for sure.
You're like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that
Yeah.
you got that.
I know. I
No,
was
it's
like,
great.
what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. Okay, well, Courtney, that was awesome. I mean, such cool perspective. I mean, you act like it's nothing, and maybe you didn't even feel like it happened, but going to the Olympics, big deal. So it was fun for everyone in Utah to follow and cheer on, and then especially because we have connections at BYU to see you do that. So yeah, we're stoked to have had you here. This was a lot of fun, and excited to continue to watch you and cheer you on getting ready for LA.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me and chatting. And I feel really lucky that is one thing. And we kind of talked about this before. I feel very lucky and blessed that there's so much support here in
Mhm.
Utah.
Right.
Lots of different types of the running community, the church, BYU, my hometown of Layton. You know, I went to two different high schools, my junior high. I've had so many different communities and people and love and support. And I think that's part of what Utah is. And
Mhm.
so I feel very blessed that I've been able to have a lot of different cool experiences, and you feel that support. So thanks for being part of those people and following the journey and
course.
just supporting and having me on the show.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for us. Make sure you tune in on Friday. We'll have another episode with Courtney where we talk about her one big move. But that's it for us. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to make sure that we gave our gift from our friends at Roan. Roan do a really good job. So we've got some really comfortable leggings for you
That's
and
so nice.
and a top. I'm a
that was so nice.
huge fan of Roan. The material is great. It's
I
awesome to
love
work
it.
out in. It's awesome to
That's so
just
nice.
leisure and walk around in.
Cute.
My wife loves it. I love it.
Cute.
And we're big fans of them
Sorry.
here on the show, and we're grateful that they're giving us stuff for our wonderful guests. So
yeah.
thank you, Roan.
Thank you.
What's up, everybody? I just want to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors. That is Andar Leather Goods. These guys are the best of the best. We're giving one of their bags to each of our first 10 guests here on the Big E Show. And it's been an exciting partnership. I've had one of their bags forever. We bought it as a backpack, turned into a diaper bag, but it just speaks to the versatility of their products. They have bags, backpacks, duffel bags, wallets, phone cases. I mean, anything and everything you can imagine that is leather, and it's the very, very best quality. So make sure you go check them out in my profile. We got a little discount code in there for you. What's up, everybody? Have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Serenoni Blankets. They are the best of the best. We're very excited for this partnership and grateful that they are providing our awesome guests with their amazing blankets. It's starting to get a little bit cold here in Utah where I'm filming, where I'm recording these episodes. And so there's no better time to go check out Serenoni. We're going to have a link in our bio. Make sure you do that because they really are the best of the best. What's up, everybody? This message comes from Roan, high performance apparel that moves you. Building mental fitness is vital to everyone's success on or off the court. This was a big thing for me while I was playing. Unfortunately, I feel like it took too long to figure it out, but when I did, there was a huge difference in my play on the court and my life off the court. That's why Roan has partnered with the NBA, Kevin Love, and the Kevin Love Fund to open up discussion and enable action around mental health. Find out more about how Roan is getting every head in the game at roan.com/mental fitness. That's Roan, RHONE.com/mental fitness, and get your head in the game as well. Roan, forever forward.